All right, guys, Nick Drossos, and we are live. So I want to thank everybody for coming in today and following this live. Before we start, guys, make sure to subscribe, smash that like, subscribe to the channel, as well as go check out my website, nickdrossos.com, for your edged weapon instructor course. I've been in quarantine for the last 2 weeks, and today the image you guys just saw on your on the video is actually my PowerPoint presentation I was teaching to the defensive instructor course, the police force in Boston. I was teaching an instructor course there, and this is one of the things that we covered, that I covered, was the angles of attack. Now, we looked at the angles of attack with a knife, but the same principles apply whether you're striking or hitting open hand or you have a weapon. Thank you, Kareem. What's very important, the reason why this is so important to understand the angles of attack, because by knowing the angles of attack and being able to break them down, you could always position yourself in a better offensive, defensive position. You could understand and know what range you want to take and you need. Knowing how to close off all the corners and all the angles so you could be able to block and counter, go preemptive, be able to jam those strikes. So I did a little graph here, right? And I'll explain it a little bit over here. I'm gonna take the hat because it's... So if you look at it over here, guys, what I've done, and this is probably one of the best way that I can break it down. So you have the head, you have the body, and you have the lower body over here. Over here, you have the center line, right? This is right through the middle. You have across the shoulders, and you have around the midsection, right? So this is kind of a skeleton of a person. Now we're gonna look at the angles of attack. So the first angle you have is one over here. Let me write it down actually, 1 second. I didn't write it down. I thought I did it all, but I'll do it over here. One, I'll put it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this one's a 12, okay? So these are the angles of attack. So you have the first angle is overhead, which means if I was gonna hammer fist or stab you with a knife on top of the head, I would be jamming here or here using the blade of my forearm. So this attack comes through the middle, overhead. Then you have the two you have right over here, which means if the person was attacking coming up this way, more kind of like a sucker punch over, where my hands would jam up here, okay? A little bit higher up, okay? So I got 1, 2, and 3. And then I have it coming straight, which would mean the person's going straight for a sucker punch or maybe for a stab straight to the throat. I would jam 4 and 5. If the attacker's coming with a knife and he's going to attack here, into the ribs, into the cage, I would block here, here, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which would be the bottom, right? So whether I'm blocking here, here. So let's go through them again. You have overhead block, right? So if I'm here, overhead block, where I step in, side block, straight block, down block, and where I'm using my forearms, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So these are the angles of attack that will cover your body from here to here. Okay? Then you have the center line. So the center line, I've face here, the red, body, and lower body, which would be around the groin area and stomach area. Okay? So you have here, here, and here. Now this box is the center mass box. Most attacks with a knife happen in this area. So protecting all this box is very important. Obviously, the neck and the head, the subclavian where the knife could go in, the jugular, carotid, and the box. So you want to be protecting that entire box, front and back, and to the side, right? So when we look at the angles of attack, the hardest ones to defend are the ones that are coming through the center line. So the center line is if the person was going to stab you straight to the throat. A little bit less common, but it's the same thing if the person's trying to punch you around this area. I'm blocking and jamming it here and stepping in. So I'm blocking this part. Blades of my forearms, parrying it, slipping it, moving it. Then I'm center mass in the chest here. Maybe the person's coming with a knife. This is where I'm angling off, jamming it in, and intercepting the knife in center mass. And then you have, if the person's coming with a straight stab, down low, and again, I'm using my hands to block and to move, okay? Those are pretty much, now, I'm not gonna go in full detail like I did in my instructor course. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an awareness of all the angles of attack. So what does that mean? When you're faced with an attacker, my hands are here. If I need to block up, boom, they're up. If I need to block down, they're here. Side, side, up, up. So again, if from a Benny stance, if I want to block, let's say the knife is coming here, boom, I'll jam it there. Let's say a punch is coming this way, boom, I'll jam it there. If it's coming overhead with a knife, boom, I step in. It's going low to the groin, I step in. I slip it, okay? So, as well as understanding these angles of attack, one of the reasons why it's so important, if I'm faced with my attacker, you want to always keep him in this box, here. So wherever he moves, I never want to give the angles away. I never want to give part of my shoulder or any angles where he might get chest to back, right? So I definitely don't want my attacker, if we're looking at the dummy here, I don't want my attacker to ever get here. Right here, I'm in a vulnerable position. He's, 50%, he has my back, right? Here, I'm a little bit better, but what I want to do is be right there. I like to be positioned in an angle where I can strike, right? I'm not squared. One foot is a little bit more back, like the same thing, like I'm in a boxing or fighting stance. So let me show you guys. Right? And I do this too with the dummy, where I put a tape where I'm right here. I'm right here. Boom, 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 up, strike. Okay? So when we're looking at it on the dummy, what you want to do, you want to cover all these angles. Then what you want to do, you want to do certain drills where you're being attacked from all these angles with both hands or one hand. Preferably start with a one-hand attack and just develop the reflex to be able to block up, up, side, side, straight. Imagine he had a knife and he's coming this way. Boom, boom. The knife is coming down. It doesn't make sense for me to do this. I have to be here and here. So anything around here, I block here, and I block there. And if it goes down low, let's say for the stomach area, that's when I'm going to block. That's when I'm going to block this way or that way. So let's look at it this way. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? Then you have middle high, middle low, and low. What I'm doing, slipping here, slipping there, up, up. So, again, the best way to train this, and the best way, and you're going to hear me guys say a lot this, the best way to drill it is to actually stand on a wall like this, put your hands up here, and have somebody just attack you with one stab. One stab. Any which way, and your objective is to block it. Right? Your objective is to jam it. What you want to avoid doing when you're blocking, and the reason we go on the wall, is every time you jam, you step in, you step in, you step in, you step in, step in. So I'm blocking and striking, blocking and striking, blocking and striking. The reason why we keep the wall back there and the foot on the wall is so I don't develop the habit to do this or to move back. But every time I strike, I'm stepping in. Okay? Again, when you understand these angles of attack, when you're faced with your attacker, you're able to always keep your hands in a position where my hands are up and I kind of know, well, how many angles can he hit me with, right? And then I could eliminate those angles through my positioning and my hand movement. Now, again, I'm giving you guys a little small piece of the puzzle because it's a very, very big one. Again, I taught this in my defense instructor course to the defensive tactics of the Boston Police. Again, this is just one small piece of the puzzle because I mean, I could spend over 2 hours of just talking about this and showing you guys how to drill it properly. Again, if you want to learn how to defend yourself, it's not so much what I'm going to teach you here, but how are you going to train this? What type of drills are you going to use to drill this in medium, slow, and then full out speed for you to develop that instinct through repetition and knowing how to efficiently and most effectively block it. And not only block, the objective is you want to train to block and strike, block and move. Every time I block, I'm stepping in. I'm not just blocking and then striking. So train to block and strike against the knife, right? And we did some really interesting drills. Every time I was charging, anytime the person or the officer was trying to move back, you could never run faster backwards than I could move forward. You're going to run about 50% less at my speed. So the idea is, if you catch yourself doing this, at some point you need to step in and you need to train that and condition that. Again, it's no different if the guy's sucker punching me, right? Boom, boom. I'm stepping in, using the blade of my forearms to jam all that. Let me take some questions. Kareem, what's up, my man? Is that upper block strong enough to block that first punch? Absolutely, because I'm not just doing this. I'm going in with my whole body. And the question, and that's a great question. I'm not blocking the punch when it's at its full speed. I'm blocking the punch as it starts moving. As I see the hand coming, I train, and you should train to explode and intercept before it starts. Like right now, if I'm starting to block, I'm already too late. I'm blocking the strike at its fastest speed. So the more it starts to move, the faster it picks up speed. I want to block it and intercept it prior to it picking up speed. And the way to do that is through different awareness drills and through conditioning and training to step in and jam it. But that's a great question. Had a guy pull a knife to try to stab me, but I was 30 feet away, so I got into a truck and drove away. Obviously, that's the best thing, guys. You see somebody with a knife, you have the distance, get out. This man should be instructor of all youth in USA. Man, thank you, truth lover. Again, I was in the US, and I was fortunate to be able to train the police force over there, and I'm doing more security. And again, I still, what I'm teaching, I also want to share it with all of you and civilians because it is a serious thing. Is it applicable for law enforcement? Absolutely, man. I just came back from training the defensive tactic instructors of the Boston Police Force. And I was teaching my instructor course, and this is the principle. Now, the drills are a little bit different, obviously. The scenarios, the method, the principles are the same, but the method of training changes because I wanted to more incorporate and make it, design it more to the type of attacks or to the type of scenarios or situations they may face. When we're looking at civilian training, the principle, awareness is awareness. It doesn't matter who I'm training, right? So the principles are the same. The method of attack is going to be different, right? A guy's not going to walk. What about controlling after defense? Martin, that's a great question. And we looked at that. There's a lot of drills on how to strike and then control the weapon and trap it use your body to put him down, depending if you're 2-on-1 or 1-on-1. But again, that's an entire video on its own, but I covered that as well. So that's a very good question, Martin. And again, guys, you know, I worked in security. I worked in clubs for, you know, close to 10 years, in nightclubs, 7 years, and security. All in all, it's close to 10 years that I'm in that field. And, you know, those submissions and locks, they don't work unless you're 4-on-1 and the guy's not, and the attacker's not fighting back. The instant you find resistance and the person's fighting back, you need to strike him. You need to create damage. You need to slow the momentum. You need to break him before you could put him in one of these submissions and locks, unless you're completely outnumber him. Nick, where can I get that jacket from? I have it, I don't sell them right now online, but I will be selling them soon. Is it hard to trap someone if they are going to the ground and rolling, dropping the ground, rolling, an effective way to aggressive an attack? True Lover, great question. So one thing that I noticed, and we did a lot of pressure testing, and I taught this, is that we did drills on the ground and on the wall. It's easier to trap the knife in close quarter when you pin him on the ground or pin him on the wall, because once he's on the wall, I could use the wall, right? I could use my body as well. I could use my body and I could use the wall to trap. It's hard to trap the knife if the person's moving back and you moving forward. This is why being able to crash, and I call that crashing, is smashing into a wall, smashing into a car, getting to a point where the person could no longer move back can help you, because you could use your body weight to trap, you can use the wall to strike him, and you could also use the wall to trap at the same time. And the same thing goes for the ground. Again, advantages and disadvantages depending on your grappling skills, but overall, if you know how to use the ground, and I could take him down to the ground, guess what? I could trap with my hands, with my elbows, but I could also use my knees to trap. So I end up having more trapping options, because the ground is there to keep the person from moving backwards. Especially if you're, let's say, 2 officers or 2 security on 1, it makes it even better. Thanks, Nick. I recommend your videos to many people. Bless your soul. Thanks, brother. You know, if you guys want to learn more self-defense, guys, you can go visit my website as well, nickdrossos.com. I tried to punch someone in the throat. He flinched in his jaw and he came back with haymakers. What is the most common angle of a knife attack? What is the most common angle knife attack? It's probably, actually, not probably, I had to, like, you know, I did a lot of studying on this. 60% is a grip like this. Let me get a knife, guys. So 60% is this way, and another 30 is an Icepick Grip. Generally speaking, they're gonna hit center mass. So it's gonna be here, here, and a very common one is the Icepick Grip that will come over, because there's a lot of power because of the shoulder of the rotation. Now, the biggest mistake people do is, if I was standing here, you'd tell me the biggest threat is the knife. Yes and no. Because this hand is free. This is the hand that I may grab, push, shove, trap, anchor, and use as leverage to attack you, right? As long as you don't bypass or train to move that arm out of the way. Once I trap you, depending on my height and weight, I'm going to use this arm as leverage and stab you. So when you're looking at knife defense, you want to be looking at the hands, but you also want to be looking at the free hand. If the guy's talking to you, you might grab here and use the other one. So really train to move whatever arm is coming that way to try to grab you or anchor on you, to not let it trap you. Once the person grabs you or traps you with this hand, it becomes very hard to stop this momentum unless you bypass the arm. So you have to train to block, but at the same time, move the arm out of the way, close the gap, and strike. The guy came at me with a reverse grip, the Icepick Grip. Absolutely, I just, you know, this is the most dangerous one. So the way you want to jam this is step in and jam it with your body. Now, some people teach this block. I don't like it because once I go here, well, I'm kind of stuck here. Where I go here, I can strike at the same time. I can come in with an elbow. I can come in with a palm strike. And one thing, the quicker you could attack the attacker, right? So the thing with the knife is a lot of people, yes, you want to focus on the knife. You want to be aware of it. But who's holding the knife? So you got to attack the attacker and strike him as quickly as possible. So I could only block and defend so much. How do you break the momentum? Is by striking the attacker, slowing him down, and being able to switch that momentum and switch let's say I'm backpedaling or I'm defending, being able to switch, make him go on the defense, trap that knife and strike. When a guy pulled the knife, I didn't even consider the other hand. I would use to overhead hand X block. That was what I've done. Look, I'm not crazy about this because I'm here and then I'm like, okay, right? Whereas I'm here, boom, I don't need this to block, right? And I mean, I'm crossing my center line both ways, which I'm not crazy. So I'm here or here, right? Once I come up, boom, I'm striking right away. Bam, I'm gonna trap, I'm gonna grab the knife depending on what he does, okay? Again, the main thing is when you're stopping that Icepick Grip, it's you stepping in. If I start blocking now, chances are it's gonna come down faster than I could block it. So the idea is, as I see this, I should be moving in, boom. That is the objective, and that's why training, is training that, I'll show you guys how I do this, is putting your foot here, right? And just boom, 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 all the angle. And every time I'm stepping in. I want to say 180 degree just to be specific. I want to say 180, okay. What's up? Might be wrong too. What's up, guys? In the UK, they normally just lunge. Yeah, I mean, so what's that? That's the center stab, where the person just does this. Boom, you gotta parry it and move out of the way, or again, depending on the time. If I see that I could parry it off the way, but if he's already 3 feet away and he goes straight in the middle, I need to, boom, jam it that way. Basically, step in, use the blade of my forearms, clear the weapon, strike, and if I'm in close quarter, I need to trap that knife. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell, share the video. As well as, guys, go visit my website, nickdrossos.com. Next year, I have Misfit, what's going on? If they come from behind, that's a good one, Misfit. If they come from behind, guys, again, you gotta strike as quickly as possible, turn around. You gotta be facing the attacker. Again, against the knife, guys, you wanna pick up an improvised weapon. Everything you have in your hand, could throw it in his face. You're holding your keys, change. You have your jacket, use your jacket, anything to buy you time to keep the person back. If you could run, obviously run, but you need to have open space to run. We did a pressure test drill over here. Every time I try to run against the knife, I got stabbed. Have I been a knife fight? I've seen knife attacks happen, but I've never actually been slashed at, no. No. Multiple attackers against a knife, that's pretty, again, guys, what's block opponent's view? That is the best thing. Block opponent, absolutely, you know what I mean? Again, pick up a chair, pick up everything you have. So you have 3 type of improvised weapons. Static is whatever doesn't move. You can use a car, a bench, maybe there's a water fountain I could move around, or whatever that you could find that will create distance between me and my attacker. Then you have projectile, everything I could throw, sand, water, keys, bottle, cap, jacket. And then you have everything that you can use with range, which is a stick, a broomstick, umbrella, whatever will give you that that extra range. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Want to learn more self-defense? Go visit my website, NateDrossos.com. I want to thank you guys for watching. Stay safe. Thank you, Kareem. Stay strong, guys.